Now, Colin, let's get to the South Carolina Democratic primary. How did that go for the challengers to Biden?
It did not go very well. So Biden has two
How did
main.
Dean Phillips do?
Yeah, exactly. Biden has two main primary challengers. Challengers maybe isn't even really the right word for them because of how
Well, they're
badly they're
trying.
doing. Did you say they're trying? Yeah, sort of.
It's not going well, but
No,
they
it's
are
really not.
trying.
Uh, I won't even really talk about Marianne Williamson. She's kind of irrelevant, but I do want to talk about Dean Phillips. If you don't know who Dean Phillips is, first of all, I don't blame you. But second of all, I'm not going to explain it again. Go back and listen to last week's show. I do not have the energy to continue to explain who this guy is because of how irrelevant he is. I just want to roast him a little bit. This guy got roughly 2% of the vote. Biden got 96% in South Carolina. Dean Phillips, who, by the way, has been campaigning so much that he has missed every single vote in Congress this year except for the Alejandro Mayorkas impeachment vote. That's the first vote in Congress he's taken all year because he's been too busy campaigning in New Hampshire and South Carolina for apparently about 2% of the vote. He lost to Marianne Williamson. So he came in third, behind Biden and then Williamson. When you're losing to Marianne Williamson, it is time to give up, right? He has completely lost the plot. His argument, the entire premise for why he was running is Biden is super unpopular and would lose to Trump, therefore we needed somebody else. I'm going to be that person. That was his entire argument. And the entire premise of why he was running now no longer exists because Biden, there's clearly enthusiasm behind him because in New Hampshire, Biden got roughly 60% of the vote without being on the ballot, and in South Carolina, he got 96% of the vote. Clearly, Biden isn't quite as unpopular as Dean Phillips claims. I mean, the other part of Dean Phillips' argument is that Phillips would be able to beat Trump in a general election. Right? So that's clearly not true either because Phillips has essentially no name recognition. So, I mean, at this point his only argument is, well, sure, maybe Biden isn't popular, but I'm not either. I'm even less popular, so I should drop out. Either that or Biden is really popular, which means that there's no point in me running, so I should drop out. Either way, it gets to the same conclusion. He should drop out. I mean, he lost by 1.5 orders of magnitude to Joe Biden. The campaign's been a disaster. I mean, Ron DeSantis should call him up and thank him because he's making Ron DeSantis' campaign look good. Just to give you an idea of how bad Dean Phillips' campaign has been. In Washington State, where Charlie and I live, there's this guy named Good Space Guy. That's his actual name. He's this perennial candidate. He's always running for something every single year. So back in 2021, Good Space Guy ran for King County Executive. Big county, but still not as big as South Carolina. Definitely not as big as South Carolina. So he runs for this. It's in the primary. He gets about 12,000 votes. That is 10,000 more votes than Dean Phillips got in South Carolina. A guy named Good Space Guy. Another perennial candidate in the state of Washington. His name is Uncle Mover. It's called that because really he just runs mostly as a joke and to promote his moving business, something that he has faced 89 gross misdemeanor charges on. Back in the 2018 U.S. House District 2 in Washington primary, this guy, Uncle Mover, got 11,000 votes. 9,000 more votes than Dean Phillips got. This is the type of person that Dean Phillips is losing to, getting destroyed by. There is no reason for him to be running for anything, and it is beyond time for him to drop out.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea, until we started really talking about him on our show last week or 2 weeks ago, I did not know who he was at all.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Until we started talking about that when we were really looking into him for our podcast, I did not know who he was at all.
Yeah, no, he's a nobody. He's a backbencher in Congress who's now going to be leaving Congress at the end of this term, and his presidential odds are 0.